This conference will now be recorded.
Being 6 p.m., we will bring the November 20th, 2024 Tilton Budget Committee to order. We'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, so let's see. We have three agencies tonight. The first one on the list is CASA. Is there a representative here? Yeah, you can sit there if you want, or if you'd like to pull a chair up, that's fine.
Chair? Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
Yep. I'm just gonna. Oh, yeah, sit there. Or you're gonna sit up here.
Or why don't you roll that one forward? There you go.
Sorry. Welcome.
If you come up, we give you a comfortable chair. Wink, wink.
Make sure you use the mic, please.
You can have chocolate if you get close enough.
Thank you.
Don't tempt me.
So what I'm passing out is our 2024 impact report.
Thank you.
An overview of what CASA did last fiscal year. So my name is Tara Bergeron. I am the Development Associate with CASA of New Hampshire. Been with CASA for 4 years now, and it's a fantastic organization. We provide volunteer advocates to represent abused and neglected children in court. We are appointed by the court. Once there's been a finding of abuse or neglect, then CASA gets the phone call. It is mandated that all abused and neglected children have a representative in court. CASA is the only nonprofit who's doing this work. If a volunteer is not available and we have to refuse the case, it goes back to the state, and then they provide the case and the children with a paid guardian ad litem. They cost anywhere from $60+ an hour, plus the cost of travel. The difference between a CASA and a guardian ad litem is, a guardian ad litem, much like a DCYF caseworker, they have dozens of children cases on their docket. They don't get eyes on the kids very often. So it's while they're doing their due diligence with like checking up on them paper-wise, they're not really getting eyes on the kids as often as you would think would be needed to speak on behalf of their best interest. What's their best interest if you don't ask them what they want? Our volunteers are required to meet with the children monthly. No matter how many kids they have on their case, they put eyes on them physically once a month at least. Sometimes it's very hard to get them to stick to the once a month. They want to see the kids once a week. Our CASAs are very invested in the best interest of the children. So the more that they see them, check up on them, on their social circle, their foster parents, their teachers, their doctors, the better idea we have of what's in the child's best interest. And then they take that to court and they put it in their court documents. They are full party in the court case. So the judges really want to know what the CASA is saying. They really want to know how the kid's doing. So the judges have stated that they really look for that CASA document to give them the truth of what's going to be the best for the kid. They rely heavily on that. We differ sometimes with DCYF because, again, they also have several kids on their cases and they don't get to see them all the time. So the CASA is the only one there for that particular child the entire time. We currently have 37 children from Tilton who have a CASA advocate representing them in court.
Just one advocate for all those kids?
No, it's 19 cases, so there are 19 different advocates representing those 37 children. There's only 9 advocates that are residents of Tilton who are on these cases. The other ones are coming from outside towns to support the children. Funding from Tilton, however, stays with the Tilton residents. So it would support the residents of Tilton who are CASA volunteer advocates. We do request funding from every city and town because it's your residents doing this work, and the CASAs are proud to do it. They're proud to say the work that they're doing, and they appreciate when their town supports the hard work that they have to do all the time.
How much do the volunteers get paid?
The volunteers do not get
They
paid.
don't get paid.
No,
So,
they are
yeah,
completely
that's-
volunteers.
Hence the name volunteer.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
that's what I
Yeah.
was wondering.
Yeah,
I
no,
mean,
that's a good.
that must be hard to actually get volunteers.
It is.
Because
So,
it is.
Do they get expenses though, at least like gas or things like that?
they have to track their mileage. When we're able to get grants, we are able to give them gas cards, especially for the ones who travel in the northern country, Coos County in particular. The cases are pretty spread out, so the advocates are traveling large distances up there. But yeah, they are completely volunteer. We have a little over 600 covering the entire state. We do, however, don't have enough, I should say, to meet the need. Right now, we're accepting 78% of cases that were presented with us. Our goal is always to get to 100%. And so we are constantly recruiting, training new advocates, getting them ready. The cases that we're seeing lately in the last year and a half, since fiscal year 23, have been lasting longer, and they've been more, I don't want to say horrific, but they have been a lot worse than the cases in the past that we've been seeing. So the advocates who would normally take on 2 or 3 cases are now taking 1 or 2 so they can focus on the kids that they have, give them their full attention. And so we need those additional advocates, which is where town and city funding comes in, so we can recruit and support the ones that are doing the work. And then, so support the ones that are doing the work and then recruit extra to take on the load as the cases come in, and we don't want to turn them away.
How many hours a month is a volunteer?
So after the initial 40 hours of training,
Sorry. Okay.
After the initial 40 hours of training, it's roughly 10 to 15 hours a month that the volunteers dedicate to their case. It also depends on where the case is in the court process. If they're going to court, then that might be a little bit more because there's the court reports that are involved. But roughly every 90 days they go before the judge. So when they're not going before a judge, it's roughly 10 to 15 hours.
Questions? Christine?
The balance sheet just says 8/31/24. I'm going to assume that's as of 8/31/24?
Yes, as of
Okay.
8/31.
So you have a net income, you're not in the red there. The profit and loss is for 1 month or 2 months, July 1st, 24 to August 31st, 24?
Yeah, our fiscal year runs July to June. So when I submitted the budget and the financials, we had only completed 2 full months at that point.
Okay. I don't think,
Was the full year budget not in there?
no.
There's a balance
I don't
sheet.
see it.
Balance
There's
sheet.
a balance sheet as of. So I looked at the annual report.
Yep.
And it looks like 22, you weren't in the red, and 23 you fell to the red. But you mentioned that Tilton funds would stay with Tilton residents. Do you keep a separate spreadsheet or
Yeah,
profit and loss to show?
Our finance manager can allocate funding to be restricted to where it needs to be restricted, and she can show where that funding is being allocated. If we receive funding from Tilton, we can definitely show the statement that it goes to this particular area. We do that for the city of Dover and Rochester.
So if we could get a profit and loss from August 1st, 2023 to July 31st, 24, that would cover your year.
Yep.
And then I have the 2 months here.
Okay.
Because 2 months, it really doesn't tell me too much.
It's 31st, you mean July to June?
July to June of
It's
fiscal
August 1st. Their year end is July 31st, from what I see.
June 30th is our.
July 1st. is
Oh,
the
so
beginning.
July 1st. So this report was wrong too, last year.
So you want July 1st, 2023 to June of
30 and
2024.
Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely, I can get you that.
And then this 2 month will fit that. What's your biggest increase from 22 to 23 to 24?
We're actually seeing a decrease in federal funding. Not just the COVID funding, we're seeing a decrease in VOCA funding. VOCA is the Victim of Crimes Act. We receive child advocacy and other advocacy nonprofits receive funding from VOCA, and when there's not as much of those crimes being finalized, then the funding lessens, and so we are receiving less VOCA funding. We are trying to increase our state funding to assist in meeting that deficit, but and also, I mean, I've seen a decrease in funding from towns. Everybody's having a rough budget the past couple of years. So town funding has been decreasing. Even individual donations have gone down because people are trying to cut back on their spending. We do have several very, very generous donors. We have a gala every year that brings in a little over $500,000. But fundraising itself has taken a hit the last couple of years.
This might be coincidental, but in Belknap County, 16 refused children and 16 children serving in the town of Tilton. That's not the same, is it? Okay.
No.
And then out of 16 children, you have 111 Belknap County. Okay.
Yeah, 111 within Belknap County. 16 were refused for the county as a whole.
It just was so.
It was just the 16.
I'm like,
kids,
wait a
right?
minute here. Okay. I think that's all.
I didn't really understand the balance sheet, I guess, because you got total assets of almost 9 million and
Mhm.
total liabilities of 175,000.
That might be because it's not the full year, and I can
Well,
get.
that's the current year
Okay.
for this. I just
for that
don't
one.
understand.
Well, then there's equity, Bill.
What's that?
Equity. So if look at net income.
Right. So
What's
equity
it?
means that's money that they have
Yes, but it could be invested. It could be
retained. Yeah, there's fund balance,
Restricted.
unrestricted, temporarily
Yeah.
restricted net assets,
But they're in the
permanently
green.
restricted funds.
Yep.
And net income of 165,000.
The bank accounts are holding well.
Huh?
The bank accounts are holding well.
Yeah.
That's doing well.
So you seem to have a good
Yeah.
backup.
Yeah, we just completed an impact campaign where we over the last 5 years, we started right before COVID, had to pause it during COVID, and just finally finished over the summer, where we raised $3.2 million to assist in any hardships, to cover for the decrease in VOCA funding. If anything like COVID happens again and we lose some of those donations, we now have a reserve where we won't have to go into the red. We can pull from this capital campaign that we did to assist until things even out again. So, we have that. Always looking for new grants. We're constantly trying to find new grants that CASA can apply to. And I mentioned that we're trying to increase some state funding. Right now, we get about a third of our budget comes from state funding. The rest of it comes from fundraising.
How do you get out there to get volunteers? I mean, that seems to be more of what you need than anything.
It is, yes. We do quite a lot. Our marketing communications team is very active all across the state. Radio, TV, newspapers. I mean, the best billboard are our advocates, and we have over 600 of them. So they're telling their friends and family what they do, and
I mean, it's a tough job,
it is.
really. Yeah.
And the interview process to become a CASA is very thorough. And the training is also very thorough, and that's if we see a drop off in advocates, it's during the training portion where they realize that maybe I can't do this.
Right.
But that's great. We want them to realize that during training, not when they take their first
Right.
case. But yeah, so the marketing team is all over it. We do a lot of speaking events. We go to a lot of fairs and festivals throughout the year and table there. We partner with a lot of chambers and other civic and community groups to speak in front of their groups. We hold lunch and learns at various businesses where we'll bring in lunch. We'll talk about CASA, hopefully to spark some interest in that way. And then we're on social media advertisements, Facebook, Twitter, all of those ones. We're very active on the social platforms, trying to attract the younger generation to advocate for the kids.
I was a little confused reading your application. How much are you actually requesting from the town?
1,000.
Okay, and that's the confusing part, because you look at the request and then you see holding reserves of almost 9 million, budgets of millions. How's the $1,000 going to help?
I would love to get to $2,500. That's how much it costs an advocate. How much it costs to support an advocate for 1 year. But not every city and town supports CASA, even though we have cases and advocates in every city and town. So funding from Tilton, even if it's 1,000, whatever you can give means that we can now reallocate that to maybe like up in the North Country where they can't give as much, but we have a lot of cases. We can move some resources up there if Tilton is supporting at any level.
Would we be considered the line of municipal grants,
Yes.
which your line item is 130,000?
Yep.
That's for the whole state.
That's for the whole state.
Just the state of New Hampshire?
Just the state of New Hampshire, yes. Yep. Last year we had a goal of 120, and we got almost close to 109 from cities and towns. Again, budgets are tight last year, so there was some funding that we thought would come through but didn't.
How many towns actually give to CASA?
We hover between 98 and 103. For several years, it was just 2 counties, Rockingham and Cheshire. However, last year we were successful in advocating for 2 additional counties. So we did successfully petition Belknap County for the first time. They gave, along with Carroll County.
Great.
You had a question, sir.
I'm pretty familiar with CASA and what they do and what it's like to be an advocate. I know a couple. I have no questions.
Any other questions?
Okay.
Thank you very
No
much.
problem.
Thank
So
you very
apart
much.
from the fiscal year 24, is there anything else that I can get you?
No,
That's
I
all we
think
need.
we should be good. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
you.
Like that. I do. You know it.
Okay, Franklin visiting nurses are next on the agenda. And you could just sit there if you want.
Probably
Yeah, yeah.
homework. Okay.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sherry Murray. I'm the Executive Assistant and HR Coordinator from Franklin VNA and Hospice. Next to me is our CEO, Kristen Albert. And next to her is Nicholas Johnson, who's our Revenue Integrity Manager. So they're here to back me up in case you have any trick questions I can't answer.
Welcome.
Um, so, so we are a small home health and hospice nonprofit agency. Just as I said, we provide home health care and hospice care to 14 towns in the Lakes region. Tilton is our second highest demographic in this area, second to Franklin. For the town of Tilton, we not only go out to see patients wherever they may reside, whether it be in their home or if they live at the VA home another facility, but we also provide monthly community health clinics at the senior center. The home services we provide is nursing, physical and occupational therapy, licensed nursing assistants, homemakers that go out and help with everyday tasks of living for patients that might be homebound. Care is provided to patients based on their need, not necessarily on their ability to pay. The funds that we bring in through our town appropriations go directly towards providing care to those that are uninsured or underinsured in the towns, but also our community health clinics. In 2023, we provided $325,918 in unreimbursed care in community health clinics. For the town of Tilton, that was 12 blood pressure clinics at the senior center, along with a flu clinic. We also participate in the Old Home Day, Trunk or Treat, and anything else we are invited to.
We have a Christmas parade this year.
Well, I don't know that we can make it December 7th, but if you let us know next year. We are also the preferred agency for the VA home. Our Director of Home Health and Hospice, Crystal, actually provides education to their staff twice a month because they are unable to provide the education on their end. So we go in and provide the education to them twice a month so that we can educate all of their staff. Does anybody have any questions?
I've been here many years.
Yeah, so I was gonna say, I
know
recognize
exactly
many
what
of you,
you're
yeah.
doing, But yeah, anybody? Yeah. I mean, you're very well known in the local area.
Thank you.
And yes, I do a booth at Old Home Day every year.
Yes.
I know that.
Yeah.
Just a comment.
Sure.
Looks like our net revenue went up from 23 to 24. What was the increase there? You got additional funding or?
A variety of things. So we brought in more grants. We hired a fundraising director. There you go. That's what I was looking for. We hired a fundraising director, and his role is strictly to find grants. So he deals with our fundraising. We had our first ever 5K this past April, but before then he was primarily working on the grants. We got some grants that we previously did not get, such as $20,000 from the New Hampshire Charitable Foundation. We started being able to do the casino days with the New Hampshire Lottery, and that's brought in to over $25,000 each time, and you can do that twice a year. So we're trying to think outside the box to bring in funding. To answer your question that you had earlier for the other organization, our biggest hit in the past year is more and more patients are choosing Medicare Advantage plans as opposed to Medicare A and B, and they pay significantly less in their contracts. So we have to eat the cost. Sometimes it doesn't even pay for the care that they're given, doesn't even pay the salaries of our staff.
What did we end up doing last year?
10,000.
10,000.
Yeah.
That came up at town meeting, right?
Correct.
Right.
We had done
We-
six.
You were asking us for 12,000 last year, and we went down to 10,000, I think, and that's.
Was it 10 or less? I thought we went to 6.
Oh, maybe we
We went to
did.
6 and town meeting gave 10.
And they brought it back up. Okay,
I just want to
sure.
remember how that went.
I was going to say I'm going to plead the 5th because if I say 6, I don't want to get 6.
We can tell by our paperwork.
Yeah.
What happened? I was just trying to refresh my memory. And again, it wasn't, if we said 6 instead of 10, it wasn't because we don't think it's valuable.
Right.
It's
No, we
understand
understand how the budget works. Yeah.
Right, yeah, we're,
That's why we said,
Yeah.
we're having to think a little outside the box nowadays, because no matter what funding we take in, we're not going to change the care we provide to the community. We just have to think a little, we've had to think outside the box as far as, how to allocate our staff into the different types of events we're doing in the community. So maybe we're not, a lot of events that we have to participate in, you have to actually, pay registration fees. So maybe we're doing less of the higher registration fee ones and more of, the old home day ones that are cheaper, in different ways, in order to still provide, the care the community needs, but in different ways.
How liquid is this brokerage statement? Doesn't look like you pulled from it.
So we have an investment man. They manage the whole thing, but it is pretty liquid. I don't think we're tied down too much on that.
Okay.
When do you do your 5K?
The 5K is the last Saturday in April, and it's in Franklin. It usually leaves from the elementary school. Paul Smith.
And you did it 1 year so far?
Yep, it's only been 1 year. We're working to do the second year. We just had our hospice, our third annual hospice ball, the first Saturday in November. So this past November 2nd, we held that, and that's held at the Newfound Lake Inn. So we're already rearing for November 1st, 2025 for that event.
Because we wanted to bring a race back to Old Home Day. So I didn't know if that was something. We used to have the race that went from the police station around.
Yeah.
And that went away, but we wanted to bring another race back. So.
Yeah, we'll definitely have Ryan reach out to someone. Just let us know who.
and the
That's
rail
me.
trail used to have they used to have a race on the rail trail, which is a
Yeah.
5K.
So it was,
From
so for our
Tilton to
first
Franklin.
year, considering we had never had one and there wasn't another race really to compare it to other than the 5K that the animal shelter does in Franklin, we had over 100, we had like 125 people register
Nice.
and run for the very first year when it was an unknown race. So now that we have it out there with different race organizations, we anticipate that to be larger this year.
Nice.
Great.
So you perked up when we talked about running.
No, I was going to actually run that race, but then something came up and I couldn't make that one. But I like to participate in those things. Are we good?
Yep.
Yeah.
We're
Okay.
good.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
You're welcome. Thank
Keep
you,
up
guys.
the good work. Yeah. Okay, now we have the Greater Lakes Child Advocacy Center. And you're connected to another one, right?
Child Advocacy Center, you mean?
The Alliance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Granite State Children's Alliance. I'm a little confused because
Sure. I can
you're
explain.
the advocacy center, but everything's under the Granite State Children's Alliance, right?
Right. Yeah. So, so my name's Casey Castor. I'm the Director of Resource Development for the Granite State Children's Alliance, which is an organization that operates 4 child advocacy centers in the state. So we operate the Greater Lakes Child Advocacy Center, which serves children from all of Belknap County. We also have child advocacy centers that serve Hillsborough County and Cheshire County. All throughout the state, each county has a child advocacy center. So there's 11 centers in the state. But we only, as a Granite State Children's Alliance, operate 4 of them. And then our agency also provides technical support to all of the other child advocacy centers in the state because we're the statewide chapter of the National Children's Alliance. So the funding that we're requesting is actually to support the Greater Lakes Child Advocacy Center, which is located in Laconia and serves just children from Belknap County. So what a child advocacy center's responsibility, their role in the community is to provide coordination of child abuse investigations. So we put together multidisciplinary teams for each child's case involving the investigators from local law enforcement, DCYF, the prosecutor's office, really any of the agencies that might be involved in the elements of that case without child advocacy centers. So the Laconia, the center in Laconia has been around since 2009, but child advocacy centers as a whole are, relatively new since the 2000s. Without an advocacy center, children would, be asked to go to an interview, maybe sometimes speaking to multiple interviewers over the course of, weeks or months in different locations, sometimes places that might feel scary to them, like a police station. So really by coordinating the services at a child advocacy center, we're able to hold a single interview for a child. All of the various members of that multidisciplinary team are there. They meet beforehand. And then when the child and their caregivers arrive, a child advocacy center, a specially trained interviewer from the child advocacy center who is trained in trauma-informed interviewing and really able to ask questions in a developmentally appropriate way of children to gather facts. All of the interviews are legally defensible, but they're conducted in a way that a child isn't sort of feeling overwhelmed or being re-traumatized by the situation. The other really key element of a child advocacy center is the family support and the victim services that we offer. So when a family comes to the child advocacy center while the child is being interviewed, the caregiver or non-offending parent that brought the child will meet with a member of our team who provides family support services. So they'll connect them with resources in the community. In the last 3 years, the Laconia Child Advocacy Center has also had brought in on-site services, behavioral health services, and specialized medical services. So any child who comes to the Child Advocacy Center and discloses abuse is eligible and offered to receive free behavioral health. So it's about a six week to 3 month therapy program that they can be in. We've set it up to be, not part of billing insurance. It's offered free to the families. It really helps to eliminate barriers for children. They're not having to navigate, community navigation resources. They're not waiting on long waiting lists. The therapy that we offer is trauma focused, and it's a family therapy model. And so by offering those services right on site, we can really get kids at the most important time after an abuse situation has occurred. We also have folks from the Coalition Against Sexual Violence. They provide on-site specialized medical exams. So these are non-acute exams. If a child has come in for an interview, after their interview, if it involved any sexual assault or physical assault, they'll come in for a follow-up specialized medical exam at our location. And so the family really doesn't have to kind of navigate all over the place. We serve about 10 to 15 children from Tilton each year. The past 2 years in a row, it's been 11 children from Tilton, plus their families. And it's been about, our services are about $4,400 per child. And that includes everything from the coordination of the interview, the interview itself, family support services, and behavioral health services. Not only is the family kind of getting connected with the resources immediately following a disclosure of abuse, but our family support staff follows that family through the process. Generally, if a case is going to trial, it may take 1 to 2 years to really reach the point where it's completed. And in some cases, a child may, if it goes to trial, may be asked to testify in court. And so our family support staff really works with the family throughout that process to make sure that the family understands what's happening, is able to kind of get the help that they need along the way.
Do you work with CASA?
So CASA
Sounds like you're like the pre part of, then CASA takes over and does the court and also monitors the family situation, sort of what's happening with.
So some of the families that we serve, they may overlap. Generally, a CASA, a guardian ad litem, or someone from CASA that's working with a child, they would be working with the child in the case of possibly a situation where a child was removed from the home, and then there's sort of a court proceedings going along the way. They would work with providing the interests of the child during that. So we may see a child that that is also has a CASA that's supporting them through the court case.
Are you not aware of your clients that if they are also
So
using
that's a great
CASA?
example. If a child has a guardian ad litem, they may be a part of or be invited to contribute to the multidisciplinary team. Generally, you know, DCYF, if we have a child who has an open case with DCYF, DCYF is aware and working with the CASA program. And so they would be able to kind of bring all of those folks together for that piece of it. If the guardian ad litem wasn't necessarily attending the interview and being a part of that, they may be briefed later by the team. So in that sense, you know, the coordination of services is really critical in terms of making sure that one arm knows what the other's doing. You know what I
Well,
mean?
it's-
So
yeah,
that
no, yeah,
the investigations and, you know, the model itself, the child advocacy model itself, it's an evidence-based model that's nationally used. It's a best practice, recognized as a best practice by the U.S. Department of Justice for child investigations, but also here in New Hampshire, the Attorney General's office has since I think 2009 directed police departments and law enforcement agencies in the state to use the CAC model, and then in 2016 DCYF also told the DCYF workers that they need to, you know, utilize CACs for the interviews. So by coordinating those services, we're ensuring that the investigations go more smoothly. There's higher rates of prosecution. Obviously, the families receive so much more support, and they're not kind of just sent here, there, and everywhere.
So the Granite State Children's Alliance is the main body.
Is the
And what's the difference-
nonprofit organization.
What's the difference between them and what you're doing? I mean, or is this just,
We are
just
so
you are just part of the Children's Alliance?
yes.
Okay.
So there's the way that it's sort of broken down is that the CAC in Laconia, the Greater Lakes Child Advocacy Center, is a program of the Granite State Children's Alliance.
Okay.
So over time, some of the CACs that were independent across the state, I mean, they're very small. The one in Laconia has an interviewer, a family support specialist, and a behavioral health clinician that work there, and that's everybody. They don't do any of the fundraising. They're only doing direct support. And so the Granite State Children's Alliance operates the 4 different centers of 11 in the state. In a lot of ways to really kind of maximize the administrative supports that we can offer.
Now, are other towns paying you? I mean, on this
so
sheet, looks like there's not many people that are actually participating.
I was surprised to hear how many the CASA has over 100 towns. So we serve, like I said, we serve 3 counties with the programs that the CACs that we run. Here in Belknap County, we received county funding until 2 years ago, and I've only recently joined. So I would need to look into it to find out. My understanding was that the county had stopped supporting outside agencies. So CASA said that they were recently awarded. But what at that point, we started applying to the municipalities in Belknap County, and it's been slow going. We've received funding from Laconia, Center Harbor, and Sanborn. Some of them we have to apply using petitioned warrant articles, so it
Right.
takes a little bit of time to get onto their warrant. But we receive funding as a whole. We receive funding from about 52 towns and 2 counties now, not 3. But yeah, I think to echo what the representative from CASA said, although the requests that we make from each community, we really try to make sure that our request is relevant to the size of the number of services that we provide for that community. Our request for $5,000 is just a little over the cost of serving 1 child for the year. It's about 10% of our overall services to Tilton.
The questions?
Your sheet of funding, is that through last year? Is that through your fiscal year?
Which one is the sheet of funding?
Yeah.
So that's our
Projected?
projected budget.
Projected,
We did include the financial statement has our FY24 budget and our full FY24 actual expenses, and then we have the 25 budget on there.
And when does your fiscal year go through?
It's a July 1st to June 30th.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you.
I have a question.
Sure.
While you're looking at that financial statement,
Yes.
this thing is telling me that you only use expenses for what you receive. Because I have 2024 actual is 543 and 2024 actual expenses 543. So you never go under or above what you receive?
I mean, I don't know that we never go over or under. I know that for this program for the FY24,
Mhm.
I mean,
I'm looking at actual.
yeah. But I think, I mean, some programs, some years may go over or under. Just like the other person had said, our finance person, because we serve multiple CACs, the financials are split out in a way, and we also receive federal funding. We're also a recipient of VOCA, which is Victims of
Right.
Crime Act. So we get a single audit, which is a complicated federal audit. So all of our funding is broken out in our general ledger to specifically to the direct costs for that program.
Okay, so they fund you based on what your costs are. Okay, that makes more
Well,
sense.
and you know, in the coming year, as she had mentioned earlier, I don't know how many nonprofits or agencies in the state receive VOCA funding, but we're one of the ones that receives a fairly large percentage of the VOCA funding. We're looking at a possible, cuts in VOCA funding this year. The pool of money, which is essentially the penalties from white collar crimes at the federal level, it's been going down and down in recent years, and so that trickles down to the money comes to the states, and then the states distribute it, and so all of the agencies that receive VOCA funding are now working with the state to see if there's a way that the state will fill that gap, and we'll see what happens.
It says the main increase is the training and qualifications of staff and benefits. And there's no volunteers in this location at Laconia?
No,
Those three staff members?
with the specialized services that we provide, we don't utilize volunteers. There's a high level of sensitivity and confidentiality, and in the past year, so we were able to receive in the state fiscal year 24-25 budget, we received an increase in some state funding, which we used to support personnel expenses and really workforce development. I think any agency that you talk to, and probably any business, is seeing considerable labor issues, and knowing that our services in particular are provided by folks who have very specialized training. These interviewers, these family support specialists, go through training down in Alabama. So we really worked using data from the National Child Advocacy Center organization to make sure that our salaries and wages and benefits are more aligned to the positions.
It's interesting that they include depreciation because that's not an expense. That's just a tax item. But they fund you for it.
I guess, yeah, I'm not,
Very interesting.
we're not funded for depreciation. This is,
Well, they're covering your income matches your expenses, and they include the expenses. One of them is depreciation. That's not an actual expense.
right. And I mean, I think that that's part of, if you look in the revenue, there's the chapter operating support line. So things like, for example, my position, which is development for all of the Granite State Children's Alliance, rather than having one development person at each child advocacy center, we're able to kind of, just like having a CEO over the 4 different agencies. So, I mean, I guess that would be, it's not funded. The depreciation's not funded, but it's part of the expenses of the agency.
I called it funding because you get matching revenue to cover it. That's the only reason I said funding, but that's all.
So the revenues, how much is federal and how much is state?
Percentage wise, you mean?
Sure.
I mean, the state funding, we just received in the past biennial budget. It's about, trying to figure out, like, I know at the Granite State Children's Alliance level, and the federal funding for this CAC is about 30%. We have the finance person combine the state and municipal funding, and that's about 14% of the budget. The municipal funding, as you can see on the chart, it's only about, right now what we receive, it's only about $5,000. So I would say the state funding is probably about 12%. So it's about 30% federal, 10 to 12% state.
But where's the rest of the money come from?
Fundraising. I mean, we apply for a lot of grants. We apply for
Are those federal grants or
foundation grants,
Okay.
municipal grants. It's a mix of grants. We also do fundraising events. So just last month, I don't believe that the Tilton Police Department participated this year, but we have a fundraiser that the police across the state, different police agencies will have members of their departments fundraise for the month of October. It used to be called Beards for Bucks. So during October.
We've participated.
Yeah. So
Sheriff's,
the sheriff's, yes, the Belknap County Sheriff's Department
I love that
fundraised
fundraiser.
quite a bit. Yeah, they're a strong supporter. So things like that help to bring in money. We don't charge any fees for services to the families or the children, and also we don't charge DCYF for the police departments for coming in and coordinating the services. But the law enforcement agencies certainly recognize the value of the agencies, and so we're very lucky that they're providing local support and really awareness. They talk a lot about how important the services are. So it's a mix. I think it's quite a bit of fundraising as any nonprofit.
Other questions?
I'm good.
All good?
Thank you all.
Thank you very
Appreciate it.
much. Yeah.
Have a good night.
You too.
Deb, your application is really just.
It wasn't me. She had it. She forgot she had it.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let's move
I was
on
just
to the
giving you a hard
minutes.
She said last meeting she never got it. I go, I know, I emailed it. And then she said, oh, I found it. It still may have been late though. Christine was giving me a hard time about Old Home Day being late.
I just wanted to.
She did send it to me. It was within there. I just didn't see the attachment at first.
But it was late.
It was just a little.
Make a motion to accept the minutes of November 13th, 2024 as presented.
I'll second it.
Second. Any discussion?
I will say that your minutes are very good.
Thank you.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Abstain.
The ayes have it. Huh?
Abstain.
Abstain? Okay. Christine took abstain. Okay. All right. Do we need to look at the Tilton Old Home Day budget or?
It's totally up to you. It's the same every year. Nothing's changed.
Yeah, since
They're
we
a
have a
rough-
representative here. we-
They're a rough crowd. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you want to do it, I'm here.
It was hot last year, was it?
Last year was beautiful. We had a great.
Yeah, it
The
was
horse
really
pill.
warm.
The horse pill came back, so it was really
Yes.
busy. We sold out of all of our food. Everybody did really well with the food sales because those horse people like to eat. It was awesome. But it's the same as always, 3,000.
3,000 last year.
Even though fireworks are now up to $9,000
Yeah, I know, it's ridiculous
for a
how expensive
15-minute,
those
20-minute
Same
show.
show.
Yeah.
But we don't do the same as you guys do. We do the higher end
We do a
ones.
lower
They'll
elevation.
go up further.
Yeah, so
'cause
it still costs us 3,500 for a good
we
20-minute
started out
show.
at 5 when I started doing this 20 years ago. It was like 35 to 3,500, and now it's up to 9.
Yeah, I remember.
Crazy.
Did you have a breakdown of everything?
Yeah, the financials are included.
I sent them, they were in the week before, so you should already have
Okay,
them.
yeah, I thought I'd seen that
Yeah,
somewhere.
we have about, I want to say about 6,000 in our bank account right now. We do need to buy some things. We're holding off because you never know from year to year what your profit's going to be. And the only reason why there's 6,000 is because about 10 years ago we didn't have fireworks because of the weather,
Mhm.
and we didn't reschedule them. So that's been our little rainy day fund. But
It's also gets you started.
It
You
does.
have to buy everything in advance.
and we've been
Bill, do you
adding
need
more.
another copy? I'm sorry.
We've been adding
Sure. I know I have it here somewhere, but
We've been adding more and more to it as well. Like we had the axe people this year, which was
Yeah.
$2,000. We have
Bubble people.
we bought the bubble machine, the
Yeah.
foam thing. We actually bought that.
Oh, okay.
I mean, we've been adding more events for the kids. We paid for the clowns, the balloon clowns, and the face painters this year instead of them paying to have a booth. We actually paid for it, so all the kids got it for free. So we're trying to add more to get more families out, and we just raise those funds.
I think that's great.
The whole day is about between 12 and 13,000, and we get 3 from Northfield, 3 from Tilton, and we raise the rest.
And didn't you have to buy like a trailer or something last year?
We bought a trailer like probably 10 years ago. It's next to the Northfield Highway Department. That little trailer, that's all of our stuff in there. We get a lot of donations. Park Street Pub takes care of us. He buys
yeah.
all of our food and then charges us a portion of the cost. He donates the rest.
great, thank you.
We did 2 raffles this year, the scratch ticket raffles, which were really successful. Where you sell 200 tickets at $10 a piece, and somebody gets $250 worth of scratchies. We did 2 rounds of that. It was we raised a couple $1,000s of that. So, I mean, we do a lot of fundraising. We send out letters. We take donations. So
It seems as
it's a small
though,
committee, about 10 people that put on the whole event for both towns.
Going to pick at scabs, but wasn't there a time recently where there was some dissension on the board
It's all over Facebook.
about financial issues or accountability issues? I don't know.
We had some people that wanted to join, wanted to come in and change how we did everything. They wanted us to have a beer tent at Old Home Day, and we said we didn't think that was appropriate. They wanted to do they wanted to make it more like a Northfield Community Day instead of a Tilton Northfield Old Home Day. So there was some dissension that come to every meeting and question why we do things. And I mean, quite frankly, the Cross family's been doing it for 35, 40 years. And they just don't want to change. I mean, we want to add more, we want to have more events, but Old Home Day is a community day for both towns. They wanted us to raise all the prices. We're like, we don't want to raise the prices because the hamburgers are $5, the hot dogs are $3. We want people
$5.
with kids to come
All the
and
years
have.
I did it, it was always $5. That
And they
was
wanted
it.
us, they said, well, community days and other places, it's $8 for a burger. We're like, but we want to make it an affordable day where people can come with their kids and families and have fun. It's not about raising money. We just want to break even.
And the
just
towns
wanna-
contribute to this in order to help facilitate
To encourage families to come out and spend their day talking to their neighbors. So we had a little dissension because they kind of like, the new people kind of didn't understand, in my opinion, just my opinion as being on it for 20 years, what Old Home Day is about. It's not about raising funds and raising money. It's about getting people to come out and have a community day. That's how we look at it. So we said no beer tent. We don't think it's appropriate for a beer tent. The liability alone. I mean, we have to buy insurance now, which is about $700 just for the day for insurance. So it's just the old timers just didn't agree with the way of thinking. So it was a little tough for a few meetings.
Is it going to be held in the Pines?
Absolutely. It was back at the Pines this year.
Wasn't? I didn't even go.
Yeah, they
Horse
even ran
School
out
was
of
back
food.
for the first time in 3 years.
Nice.
No, it was great. It was nice to be back.
It was really good down there.
It was
And
busy.
now we have the gazebo, so we have like a center point to do all of our booths and things around. We had probably 50 booths this year. We had a lot of horse people. The
Mhm.
horse pull, just so people understand, does not make money. We end up subsidizing. We pay about $1,500. Old Home Day pays about $1,500 just for that to happen because there's so few people doing it anymore. And so we don't get the money for the teams to enter. And then with the prizes they give out, it's actually a losing venture, but we think it's important enough to keep it going. So we subsidize it because it does get people here and it's something you don't see everywhere, having horse pulls. So, I mean, it's a good event. We're going to keep it the way it is.
You have to go to the big fairs to see something like that. like,
Absolutely.
Sandwich fair. Or,
I still remember the one year when one of the horses died. Do you guys remember that?
Don't tell me that.
It was
awful.
It was
all the-
very sad.
all the kids were around the thing, right? And this horse keels over.
Oh.
And all the kids are like, oh, no. And parents are like, oh, it's sleeping. Oh, is it? And then they come with the bucket loader to
Yeah.
get it out of the middle of the
Oh,
thing. Take it across the street. I'm like, oh. It happens. But it's a great event, and we have people come all around for Old Home Day. Now that we're back, it's going to be bigger every year.
It was good size.
Yes, we had
last
some
year.
dissension. We put our foot down. We all voted as a group. We're not doing a bear tent. We're not making the prices higher. We're going to keep it Old Home Day. So those people may not come back. It's okay either way.
Just keep
It is what it is.
the minds open for other revenue sources. I mean, that's
We are absolutely open to any kind
Yeah.
of revenue,
Yeah.
any kind of event. You know, you want to bring somebody in for something. If it's safe, we'll do it. We had some people that wanted to do things that, like, for example, I'm the booth coordinator, right? Oh, sorry. We have to make sure that what we bring in is safe. And they wanted to do some things that were a little concerning, or they wanted people just to show up the day of and set up. Well, just let them do it. It's old time. We have to have structure. We have to have
Yes.
form. We have to know who's here. We have to know. We had a group that did an obstacle course like 5 years ago. There was like slivers sticking out of the boards. There was nails. It was like, you can't do that.
True
stuff.
obstacles.
It was dangerous.
It's in the name.
So we just have to have a bit of grip on things, and it has to be
Yeah.
like you all understand, right? When it's an organized event, there has to be structure, there has to be rules, there has to be somebody saying yes or no, and that's hard for some people. But it can't be a free for all. It's a liability for us as a committee, and we are a separate nonprofit. We are not under the town of Tilton or under the town of Northfield. We are a separate registered. That's my text message. Sorry.
Okay.
We're a registered nonprofit. So we answer to the Secretary of State. We don't answer to each select board. We raise our own funds. We're a separate entity. And we did that on purpose because you get the Tilton Selectmen telling you one thing and you get the Northfield Selectmen telling you something else. And it's hard to bridge that gap. So we are a separate entity representing both towns.
The best part of that is the liability concerns.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Do you have
Of
the
course,
dates
does
up for
fall on
next-
something.
It's always the
Right.
last Saturday in June.
It was nice this last one.
It was awesome. It was so nice to be back.
A lot of people ran out of food.
Nice day. We ran out of food.
Yeah.
The weather held. We weren't in the middle of and no offense to the prep school. They were wonderful to let us use their field for 2 years, but we were baking out there for 2 years.
Oh,
Right.
there was
There's no
no
shade.
shade, no
yeah,
nothing.
Yeah, right.
We were baking out there. So it's nice to be back. We have the animal show that comes and we set up in the PD and the kids can all sit in the
Yeah.
shade and watch the 7 different animals and learn about the turtles and the snakes and the orangutans and they bring 7 different animals.
That was
And the
crowded
kids
too.
get to touch them and
Yeah.
Yeah, we do that at the parks.
It was
You
full.
do.
Twice a year, and
it's
it's
awesome.
fascinating. I
And they're
find
like,
it
they
amazing.
come for like $400, $450,
Yeah, right.
and they're
No.
there for almost an hour and a half showing
And
you the
the
animals.
kids get to touch,
Certain ones.
every weird animals that they have there, snakes and
Yeah, this year they had a snake that was like 10 feet long.
You're
and
right.
had like 8 kids holding it up. And
Right.
I'm like, "Ah!" But it's a great community day.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, it is.
and we're always looking for more volunteers if anybody needs something to participate in.
Right.
It's a lot of hard work. We work hard. We sweat. We build up to it for like 6 months. And the day of, everybody's running around like chickens and moving the chicken barbecue. The grates are like this big. We cook chicken for like 12
Yeah,
hours.
that's
And we sell that for $10 for a full meal
that's
because we want it to be affordable.
it's a good deal.
So
It is a great deal.
we miss you, Joe.
Yeah.
You used to cook for us.
you're
But
one of
All the
cooks.
I helped out on the committee for
you did.
10 years, maybe.
I'm on my 20th. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's nice to give back.
Do we want to discuss the appropriations that we've had so far,
Up to you.
real quick? I mean,
We've had all the outside
have-
agencies come in.
Yeah.
right? There's no more.
Yeah, this is
outside.
all of, yeah, so we've got, the Hall Memorial Library.
I missed that one, so I'm just gonna listen on that one.
Yeah.
Did you get all your answers that you wanted?
Well, we just got the updated,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, the pay.
Seems like
wage,
they're getting a lot of money
wages.
from last year. They went up. What did we do last year? Like 5% or something?
Oh, you mean the pay increase?
I mean,
Um,
I'm not.
Last
gonna
year,
be-
you guys had a lower number, and then at town meeting, they brought a bunch of people in and raised it
Yeah.
up again.
We
Yeah,
level
had it at a
funded and
3%
then-
raise.
I don't remember what the
So is
numbers
the
were, but
They
deficit.
came in and I think they raised it about 10%, I think.
And I mean, they were trying to get it stable with what they felt was appropriate salary ranges. I get that. But this year it's more, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and the makerspace wasn't mentioned too much.
I'm torn. I
Now-
don't think
now,
we're getting our
there's
money's
There's
worth.
this chart here. I'm a little confused about the two items on, like, the first 2024, we've got 154, 148 on one column and 135, 886.
Because, let me just,
Is that
that requested
this
and
year and
received.
last year's? Is that how that goes?
yeah, I don't know, I just had it in front of me.
As I was reading, I assumed it was asked for and then received, but it's a good question and not
Oh,
assume.
here it is. Which part for 2024?
So it looks like,
They had asked for the 154, 148, and you had approved the 135, 886. So this is what was asked
Requested.
for and what the budget committee approved, not the final what was approved at town meeting.
okay. Yeah, I guess we need that.
I can double check that 2024 number. I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't have, well, I should have
Yeah,
Tim's,
Tim's,
You want the one from last year?
what was approved
what
here.
do I do with that?
Oh, I just had it in my hand. What did I do with
Oh,
it?
here it is.
Okay.
That,
Oh, what did I do with it? Just had it.
outside agencies.
Oh, it's right here. What
So
were you
last
asking?
year,
On Tim's, it's 154, 148.
They asked for 154 and we gave them 135, 886 is what the budget committee said.
Right, at town meeting, they might have asked for more or got
They
more.
probably got the 154.
Yeah,
Yeah, at town meeting, they got the full amount that they
Yeah.
asked for.
right, they got
54,
154,
148.
It was about
148.
$9,000 difference.
Yeah, so that's their budget.
same with Franklin V&A, they got that at town meeting, 10 grand,
And they're asking for,
10 grand.
Done again.
how much?
Who?
Hall Memorial.
What are they, Hall Memorial asking this year?
173, 305?
Oh, okay, there it is, yeah.
Whoa,
Okay.
so it's 20,
Yeah.
it's 20,000 more than
increases.
last year?
Right,
Yeah, and
Oh.
that's why if you look in today's handout, they have pay raises.
and it's pretty much all wages and benefits
Right.
that make up that, yeah. Yeah, you could see
Same
that
4%.
on you have the new wage
I got that, yeah.
guideline.
I'm looking at it right now. I'm having sticker shock.
But that doesn't include the benefits, the wages, so, okay, so that's that. Then there's Old Home Day, that's the same. Cemetery Association's the same. Youth assistance has gone up, and that's mostly a wage increase too.
Wait a minute, Park Cemetery, it looks like it increased it on 25, is it 10 grand?
Oh, okay, that has gone up 10.
Yeah, they haven't, my understanding is they haven't asked for a raise in many years.
Right, you
and
can go back,
True.
Cost of everything has gone up. You
yeah,
all know that.
and they've struggled for
They have.
every year just trying to get stuff done.
And I know it's been mostly Paul and Judy doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Paul is getting to that point where they may have to hire someone else to help And that would probably be at today's, cost.
Oh, can't they find some retired guy that doesn't want to work for money?
Maybe you're probably retired now.
Partially retired.
You have time on your hands, Bill,
Yeah, right.
when you're not traveling to Italy and stuff like that. I just had it.
Okay, so the increase in the library and youth assistance, I think, is mostly wage related. Let's see, community action.
I think a chunk of Hall Memorial was maintenance related also. The
Well, they
estimate.
lost their maintenance guy.
Yeah, no, it was internal.
Yeah, they had to hire for landscaping
Yeah.
and, yeah.
Right. But it wasn't really that much
No.
because they actually saved money on,
Yeah.
on another line
The
item.
town was paying for plowing.
Right.
Town is still doing their plowing.
So
But if you look at the wages and the benefits, that's about what the difference is. Yeah, other areas have moved around, but we can always double check that. But so community action. Last year we wanted to go 8,300, but I think town meeting gave them 12,000.
I
No, they were
think
asking
so,
for,
no.
no, they just got the 8,300. They're asking for 12,000 again this year.
They ask for 12 every year, and we give them 83. Or at least
Okay.
the last 2 years.
And
Oh,
we did that by
actually, we cut
percentage.
it because they were getting 12
They were.
all the way
They
down.
did all the way back to 2020. 2020, 21, 22, 23, we cut it, and 24, we cut it.
And usually we just look at the equity between different towns to arrive at, since it is
And their bottom
mostly a
line.
federal program
If
that,
they have millions in the bank. we're like,
right,
what?
right. So we could revisit that too. Visiting nurses is similar. I don't know
Same idea.
if we got a comparison for the visiting nurses from different towns.
We only cut the visiting nurse for the first time in 23. But they got it back at town meeting last year.
Right.
Every time.
Because Pat stands up and advocates for that.
Yeah, I think they went up to 10,000 there.
They actually went down because they were 12,572.
So they
Remember.
got 10,000 last year.
Right. So they actually went down in
Yeah.
2024.
23.
They went down to 10
Yep.
from 12,572, which we did
We
consistently.
recommended 6, but they got 10.
Yeah. We tried.
And that's all you could do.
Sure, right.
There's nothing to be frustrated about. If the right amount of people
Yeah.
show up at town hall, you can get it too.
Yeah. And really on the, the
I mean-
4,000.
We could double the fireworks if you get the right amount of people show up, right?
They used to, when they did it years ago, when they had it at the Tilton School Field, the fire department would run around with hats and buckets and everybody would be throwing.
You know why it was so successful down there is because, and I remember as a kid, we'd go down there, they'd do the fireman
Sure.
brigade, everybody would
right.
just come in the field. The chief would meet them at the gate when you came
Exactly,
in. It's the only
right.
way you could get in.
Exactly.
So you had to go by the chief holding out a donation thing.
No, I know. That was very successful.
It was very successful.
Yeah, yeah,
It doesn't work like that anymore.
yeah,
No. That was good old days. And you brought your coolers down there and
yeah, right.
you had adult beverages and
So CASA is basically asking for like a symbolic amount. Well, we normally don't give them because they have a very good balance sheet.
well, I mean, his point was
And they really need-
$1,000. What is he gonna?
Yeah, they really
Supposedly
need
this goes to
volunteers more than
Laconia.
anything.
I assumed it was wrong.
It's a great
Figured it was a
organization, but
typo.
they
No,
do
it
have a
is.
good bottom
It is a
line.
great program.
It is a great program, but
Just like the Greater Child Advocacy, but they do have their parent
they have a lot.
company has a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
So and that's a lot of federal money that we're paying our taxes to. But
No, I agree with the train of thought of the committee, how we've been doing this. I
Mhm.
agree with it. I mean,
what do you think about the Twin Rivers Food Pantry? I'm inclined to give them a little bit more money just because of the way things are right now.
I don't have a problem with it either,
Yeah, but
honestly.
1,600,
A lot of people that need help right now.
right?
I feel like this money, these outside agencies, we're buying services, and we pay $1,000 to CASA and get $10,000 worth of services, and they're a great thing.
Mhm.
But again, like you said, they have a big.
They have
balance
$9 million
sheet.
in the bank. Do we really need $1,000 is really gonna,
That's what I don't understand that balance sheet really. I mean, they're saying, but then you look at the operating expenses. I don't know how that works with the balance sheet because their operating expenses, they're in the minus a little bit or something, but
That's why they have a good bank account and they pull from, if they're in the minus on the profit and loss, they're gonna pull. They got
well, that's what I'm
2
saying.
million in their bank
That
account,
kind of was my point.
but they only go by that year and then they don't put the additional whatever they pulled over till at tax time or
Right,
at the end of the year.
Yes, I mean, when they have that kind of backup, I don't know why they need us, except that they want us
Is
to
it
be.
readily available for them? That's,
Oh
or
yeah,
is
if
it
it's a
tied up?
checking account, it's readily available.
checking,
And then
but
this
is it-
last one, when I asked about their brokerage statement, it's completely liquid. They don't need us.
That's the VNA.
They have 2 brokerage
Yeah.
statements and they have tons, but it's going to be advocated for. So, I mean, it's not that they're bad. It's just they don't need our money. And I say
enough
need,
people-
they want.
if enough people feel strongly about it, they'll get up and talk about it at town meeting and then that process works.
Yeah.
And that's the way it's supposed to work.
Yeah.
Right.
We're supposed
I
to
hope as
advocate for
many
the-
people that voted come to town meeting.
They won't.
I know. I'm like,
They
shoot.
won't.
Come on,
we
people.
were super busy. It
Yes.
was like 20, what did we have?
The
20,
new registration
2,400
lines?
2,400 people voted and we had like
It
300
was
new
well
voters.
over 2,000.
That's so
It was like
great. I mean, I'm
2,400.
glad
It was a
people are
crazy
getting out
day.
and voting.
I walk in, I
Yeah.
hope everybody's
Yeah.
coming to
Yeah,
town
yeah.
meeting.
And it was weird because
the
it,
system.
We have decided.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
it's
Not everybody
it's-
agrees, but
I mean, that's the United States.
here we
It's
go.
Always
Yeah.
been.
but it was weird
a
because it
very
was all in the
contentious
morning. The afternoon was
system.
very
It's fine.
quiet. The 3 to the 5, like 4 to 7 was quiet compared to past. It was all in the morning.
It was almost every town. Like I know somebody in Derry bombarded, Northfield bombarded.
it was
A
busy.
lot of new people just.
We made our money
voting.
that day, huh, Joe? We worked it.
Yeah. I'll
We
see
were
no
busy.
extra money for that.
We were busy, but they fed us well. So.
They did.
And these outside agencies can get confusing. We had the food pantry in Franklin that covers, and then there's another food pantry somewhere else.
Well, there's
but
a food pantry here.
the one in,
that's
yeah, the
one
one
day
in-
a week.
The one in Franklin.
They don't come in
were-
and ask us for money here, the congregational, do they?
They
No.
don't. No. Yeah.
She does a ton. Star runs it, and she does a ton. But she's from Northfield, and she does a ton of fundraising. She just got a new freezer. I see her on Facebook. That's why. And
But they do all service our residents, though, too.
Oh,
even
yeah.
from-
Even just the
sandwiches.
math that she was talking about, quick math as she was saying it, is it came to the number of families from Tilton, and it came to $160 per family. You can't get a half a grocery cart
No.
of food,
Right.
and that's a year's worth of support for every family.
Yes. Yeah.
It just seemed to me, quick math, ballpark.
Yeah, it's
Seemed like a
it's a
good
good
We used
resource.
to teach cooking classes to parents and children over there. The need is like amazing. It just.
And the thing about Twin Rivers is you pick the food. They have you go in, you pick it. So you're not getting food you're not going to use or waste. You
Mhm.
actually pick food.
Yeah, because in the olden days, they would just give everybody
Tilton,
a
they
box.
give 2 boxes or
Yeah.
whatever, and
You might not like it. You might not eat it. It might.
tons of yeah.
That
But not
makes more
Twin Rivers.
sense.
Yeah.
So do you want to just review these?
Start at the
Personally,
top, Bill,
or-
and
or-
we'll see
or-
it, how we're
Yeah,
gonna
and start
fund it.
voting next week or
We're not going to meet next week.
oh, it's Thanksgiving Day.
And what's their schedule in December?
So December, we have December 4th, we've got the Lockmere Village Water District and the Sewer Commission coming in. On December 11th, we've got the DPW and the police, and Scott and Tim will be here. And
Okay.
then on
That'll
December,
be a long one.
I'm sorry?
That'll be a busy one.
Right. And then December 18th, I've got Scott and Tim. So
Okay.
So December 4th.
I think we
was
can
the-
wait till
could vote on the
January
4th.
to review all these.
We can have some time on the 4th if we
Yeah.
just have sewer and,
Yeah,
and
but-
Lockmere.
yeah,
They really aren't.
Lockmere's and sewer just a pass through.
sure.
I mean, as long
Right,
as their
right.
books are right.
Yeah, right.
And I can
Right.
swear to
Informational.
Lockmere. I don't know about the sewer, but I suspect they're just on.
Those will be quick. We could do some of the smaller ones on
Yeah.
the 4th.
I'm going to review the increases and just pinpoint what they are. And so we'll just talk about that in the future. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. All righty.
Did you want something from the Franklin VNA for the comparisons? Like maybe this sheet for the different towns?
That'd be good.
I'll see if I can get them.
Didn't they give us that?
They
Cap-
gave us one for Tilton, but you wanted like Cap did with all
Cap
the
gave
other
us
different towns.
everything, which gives us an idea of exactly how we stand in there. And although some of that's confusing too.
It's because they don't all give us the same information in the same format. That would be awesome.
It would be great. Yeah.
Everybody has the same application, tells us the same information in the same way. But I mean,
We
they're
have
all-
kind of asked for that, but
we're
they
getting
never
better.
do it. We always have to ask them again.
Oh, it's
It
like a
was
resume.
better
You
this
give
year.
certain pieces of information,
Right.
but you don't feed you everything. You
Maybe
know?
we talk about the appropriation forms. And the
Yeah.
information
Sure.
that we give out. with
Well, we
those
actually
commissions.
ask that on the forms,
Who designs
right?
the applications? Like,
I
We
came in
revamped
last
it, I
year
think,
and-
last
We-
year.
We do that. Yeah.
Yeah, we
We've gotten
redid
better.
it.
We
It's
could
gotten more
change for the
helpful.
next round.
Early in
And
the
there's
year,
like
we
a
should
letter.
review that and say,
very consistent, so we know we're getting the
we'd
same
like to
thing
see
from every-
this.
You can do
Other
that maybe after you get the final public hearing done and then kind
Sure.
of go to that.
Yeah. Okay.
You know,
that's-
I don't know. It's up to you guys. Just seems like that would seem the time you want to get all the budget stuff
Well, it
done.
won't
and then
happen
go to
this
that.
year anyway, so we have time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, right. It wouldn't be till the next one in September, so
Right.
to put it out, but to have it.
Why don't we just
Done
start? Why don't we
after.
just start earlier? Let's just start in like June.
Right. Right around
Damn.
the end of June.
As soon as Old Home Day's done, let's just jump right in. Sarcastic. No, I don't
Okay.
do that.
Entertain a motion.
I have one last thing. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
What we do without you, Joe?
I'll second.
Second. All in favor?
I
Aye.
Great.
Motion to adjourn is my favorite thing.
Have a great Thanksgiving, everybody.
You
You too.
Yeah.